minor sin. For the major sin, he should also repent from them so that Allah Almighty will forgive him. Another treasure in Ramadan that the Messenger Muhammad said that Allah Almighty exempt many people from hellfire every single night in Ramadan. May Allah Almighty make us among those who are exempted. There are many people who will be exempted entirely from hellfire in the month of Ramadan. This is repeated every night. So there is another opportunity for total exemption from any accountability and punishment in the hereafter. And as we say that fasting will intercede for you, so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us inshallah to benefit from the month of Ramadan and to utilize its treasures and its times and seize its opportunity. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who are successful in the month of Ramadan, those who are accepted and those who will be exempted entirely from hellfire inshallah. Ameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Mohammed wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Now there we'll take the fatwa session inshallah and the question. Jazakumullah khair. Now, I think there are already some questions in the chat, or you will open the mic. Let us see how the organizer want to do it. Now, okay, I think you have the opportunity. If anybody would like to ask, raise your hand please, and you can ask. The management will open the mic for you. No. For the dua made before iftar, the dua should be in Arabic, or we can make the dua in our own language? Yes, this is a good question. In general, it's better to do the authenticated and narrated dua in Arabic. Learn it, learn its meaning, and say it in Arabic, because the translation sometimes does not do goodness and justice to the original words and the meaning. However, it is permissible if you want to do it in another language. This is not the salah so that you cannot say it. So this is a general dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept and facilitate. So you can say it in your own language if you wish, but it's better to say it in Arabic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Now, good question from Sarnas. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Can I ask?
Yes, sister.
About for fasting.
Yes.
And then I'm always going to masjid, but if for example because I'm working in salon.
Okay, can we answer the first question first and then we take the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is about the flu vaccine, whether it is permissible to take flu shots while you are fasting. Yes, inshallah, there is no harm. It is usually given in the shoulder or some other place in the head. Nothing gets ingested directly from any opening in the body, and it is not something that is nutritious. It's not used for food and drink. It does not contain lots of fluids. So inshallah, there is no harm to take it while you are fasting. However, if you can delay it till after, it is better to do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Now,
I want to ask also because I'm doing every time that Ramadan, I'm always there in masjid.
yes.
But it's invalid if I'm not attend for one time because I'm working in salon. Then I cannot go at the time the last for Isha.
Yes.
Is invalid or no?
Yeah, there is no harm. The salah, there are 2 points to clarify. The first one, for a woman, if she is praying at home, this is more rewarding, but it is permissible to go to the masjid and pray. Second, if you did not pray the jama'ah of Isha in the masjid, it does not mean you cannot pray Taraweeh. You can pray Taraweeh by yourself or with your friends, female friends, if you would like together, or each one by herself. All of that is possible. And you can pray just 2 rak'ah or 8 rak'ah or 20 or more or less. You can pray as many as you want. And then followed by the witr, either after the Taraweeh or before Fajr time, your choice. But just simply because you missed the Isha prayer in the masjid is not linked with the Taraweeh. You can pray Taraweeh by yourself at home. Allah Almighty knows best. Good question, yes.
Okay, Ustaz. Shukran.
Thank you. A question from Sister Sarah. What is the best time for dua? The best time for dua is when you feel closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you feel, sometimes you see in your life, during time of stress, time of difficulties, time of dire need, time of trials, tribulations, things like that, and you feel that you are in need of Allah Almighty and you are very close to Allah Almighty, this is the best time to make dua. In fact, when a person in this state make dua to Allah Almighty will accept it, even if the person was not Muslim, even if the person was not a believer. When he is in dire need and he turns to God and asks Him, Allah Almighty will give him. So whenever you feel that you are in difficulty in life, turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You feel you are in need, turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, there are also some special time for dua. And among them, the time before Fajr, just before Fajr, and the time of breaking the iftar, and between every adhan and iqamah, and in the last hour every Friday before sunset, every Friday, and the last third of the night, every night, the last third of many hours, all of it, you can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for anything that you need. And also at the time of sujood, when you are performing the sujood, and after the finishing the salah, just before making salam, and after every salah, after saying the adhkar of the salah, you can make dua also. This is a great time for dua. And when the rain is falling, and so on, many special time for dua. But as we said, the most important is to pray from your heart and show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are in need. Allah Almighty knows best. Now, the other question from Sister Akima, I think. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Is it possible to eat 2 minutes before the adhan and while the adhan has been called, or should I stop eating? So 2 minutes before the adhan, no harm. Up to the adhan itself, you can still eat and drink. But it's recommended to stop a little earlier so that you'll have time to rinse your mouth and brush your teeth if you want, and so on. But is this permissible to eat and drink until the exact Fajr time? Now, Fajr time nowadays is the adhan time. Allah Almighty allowed us to eat up to the Fajr time. So when the Fajr time and the adhan comes, you must stop immediately. In fact, even if there is something in your mouth and the adhan came, you should spit it out. Rinse, not drink or swallow anything after that. This is something very important. This is the opinion of the vast majority of scholars, and this is what is indicated directly in the Holy Quran. You can eat and drink up to the Fajr time. Clear? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Now, is there any group that will lecture in Ramadan? I think there are many programs in Ramadan. Sister Aisha, you can follow up inshallah with our department or the customer service, or follow our social media. They will find the announcement for these lectures. You can also follow with the organizers of this lecture. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Sister Catherine, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. While fasting, if you have a bad headache and you put or inhaled medicated oil, does it break your fast? This is a very good question. Now, the first thing, if a person is having headache, while having a severe headache, and if he puts some medicated oil, if you put it in the skin and the forehead, around the chest, and around the nose and so on, no harm with all of that. That does not invalidate the fast in any way. Now, if you inhale it, what do you mean by inhale it? If you inhale just the smell, this is disliked, but it does not affect the fasting. This is different from if the oil is producing some smoke, literal smoke, like just like that of incense. If it does, then you are not allowed to smell, to breathe it directly. This is the difference. You should not inhale anything that contains substances, ingredients, particles apart from the normal air, you should not inhale. So I think for the medicated oil by itself, it does not have that. So inshallah, there is no harm with it. If it contains water vapor with it, for example, mixed with something else, or contain or produces some smoke, that is when you need to avoid. Next point also about the headache. If the headache is so severe that fasting will increase it and make it worse, or you have to take some medication, you are allowed to break the fast and take medication and then make up for this day after Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Next question from Sister Sonia saying, can we brush our teeth after suhoor time is finished? Yes, brushing teeth while fasting is permissible. The only thing is you need to be careful not to swallow anything. Not to swallow anything. That's all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. So do not make extensive brush, for example, with water. This is not allowed. So you should, and in case something seeps while gargling intentionally, that will invalidate the fast. So be careful. But just simply brushing and so on, no harm with that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. If you are able to use siwak, it is recommended to use siwak rather than the toothpaste, as it does not dry the mouth and it's more refreshing and so on. But your choice, no, not a big problem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Another question from Sister Miss Maitha. When is the best time to give your zakah, and to whom it should be given? And if you do not have enough amount to provide, or can you do this obligation as a Muslim? Multiple questions. The first one, when is the time for zakah? This is a very critical question, very important question. Sadly, many Muslims do mistake with that. Zakah has a specific time for every person. It's not like a time for all Muslims. The zakah is linked with reaching the nisab. Nisab is the minimum amount when zakah becomes obligatory. If you do not have the nisab, you don't have to pay zakah. For example, that is when, if you don't have the amount. Let us say, the nisab nowadays is approximately 20,000, 22,000 dirhams here in the UAE. Nisab is the value of 85 grams of gold. So if somebody does not have that amount with her or with him, he does not have to pay zakah. A person who is poor or needy or in the middle and he has like 10,000 with him saving and so on, no zakah is due on him. If he still want to give zakah, he can. No problem. But it's not obligatory. That is the first part or second. About the time of zakah, the moment, the first time in your life that you reach the nisab, that you had with you 20,000 dirham or more or less, around this amount, about the nisab time, the first time in your life you had it, that is your zakah due date. That is your zakah date. For example, that first time was on the 10th of Ramadan. So 10th of Ramadan, every year is your zakah date. So 10th of Ramadan, you had 20 with you, stay and start calculating. Next year, 10th of Ramadan, how much do you have with you? You have 25,000 with you. Give zakah on 25,000. Next 10th of Ramadan, how much do you have with you? You have 35,000. Give zakah on 35. Clear? Now, if somebody else, for example, he had 20,000 on the 1st of Rabi' al-Awwal. So 1st of Rabi' al-Awwal is his or her zakah due date, starting from next year and onwards. Somebody had this on the 15th of Rajab. So her zakah due date is 15th of Rajab. So you must give zakah on that day or before that day. You cannot delay it. Okay. Now a question arises, if I do not remember, I don't know when I reached my nisab, I'm not aware. So what do I do? So for a person who does not remember the zakah due date, he should pick up any day in the year. Pick up a day. This is my zakah due date and start calculating accordingly. Most people pick a day in Ramadan. So no harm. You can do that. So somebody who does not have enough amount to provide, is it permissible to give zakah? He can. But it's not obligatory. If he does not have the nisab, it is not obligatory. This is zakah on money. There are more details about zakah on other items. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Question from Sister Rahima. Please, I'm a cook. Can I smell food while fasting? You can smell food, no harm. Smelling food is not a problematic thing. The problematic thing is directly smelling the vapor of the food. You need to be careful about that. Clear? So the rising vapor, water vapor from the cooking. Clear? Like cloud. You understand what I'm saying? That what you should not directly inhale, because it has small droplets of water, so it's not allowed to directly inhale it. But smelling after that, no harm with smelling the food. So the smell itself is harmless. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows this. Next question from Iram Nas, saying, can we use bakhur or incense at home while fasting? No, you should not. You should not, because it produces smoke with particles. Now, the smell itself is harmless, but the smoke is harmful. It affects the fasting. So if someone intentionally inhale that smoke of bukhur or incense, that will invalidate the fast for that day. If it happens by mistake, no harm. He should stop and continue the fasting. The smell itself is not harmful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows this. Using perfume on ourselves while fasting, no harm. Same. Just only the direct spray or the direct smell drops that are coming. You should not inhale these directly. Try to avoid them. So you are putting it from a little far, no issue whatsoever. Now, one caveat, small caveat for married people, it is better to avoid it while fasting, so that the person will not get carried away sometimes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. We are running out of time, but we still have time for some questions, inshallah. Sister Aliyah, if someone inhaled the smoke from oud that is burned at home, but without knowing that it is not allowed, does it break the fast? No. You see, the bukhur itself, as we say, that it will invalidate the fasting. So if somebody smelled just not the smoke, just the smell by itself, this is not harmful at all. But if intentionally inhale the smoke itself, he should or she should make up for this day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. From Brother Rashid or Roli Giraban, saying, what is the best time to make dua, please? I think we have already covered this, but during fasting, the best time, just before Fajr time and around the time of Futur, when you are breaking the fast. Two most important time for a fasting person. And throughout the day, while you are fasting, do dua, because the dua of a fasting person is accepted, as the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained to us. We have given more detail in the beginning, so we are not going to repeat it now. You can refer to the recording or ask later, inshallah, in another session. Allah Almighty knows best. Sister Samina saying, can we taste food just on the tongue without swallowing and then spit it out? Okay, first, do you have to do that? Now, if you are good with cooking, you do not need it, you should not do it. Okay? If you are not that good with cooking or with measuring, but you can avoid it and delay whatever might change the taste till after iftar, then you should do that as well. Don't do it. Okay? Delay the salt, delay the pepper, whatever it might be that it might affect. Put the minimum when you are on the safe side, and then increase after making iftar and after tasting. Okay? But now in some situation, this is not possible. You have to make large amounts, many people are coming, or sometimes your family or your husband or somebody else are nagging and they are problematic, and it might create a dispute and so on, and you need to taste it. There is no harm, inshallah, in tasting it, but only with the tip of the tongue. The tip of the tongue. And then spitting it out immediately, because you did not swallow anything. Okay? It's like rinsing with water sometimes. When you are making wudu, you are rinsing with water, but water does not go inside, so it does not affect the fast. Okay? But it's better to avoid it. But if you need to do it, no harm, inshallah, in the way we mentioned. Allah Almighty knows best. Next question from Sister Iman Rojo, saying, Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am fasting in the month of Ramadan. Can I taste what I cooked? I mean, just touch in the pinky finger and taste it. Do I break it? You see, when you're touching with the pinky finger and then putting it in your tongue, so far the fast is still valid. But you should not swallow whatever is there. You must spit it out. So if you spit it out afterward, no harm, inshallah. Allah Almighty knows best. Sister Annalisa, the question later. Okay, inshallah. Sister Bugana saying, as for zakah, saving and daily expenses are in the same account. Do we have to give zakah from that account? Yeah. Zakah is on the total that you own on the zakah due date. When zakah date comes, anything that you have spent before, whatever you bought for personal use, whatever you ate and drank and gave away and so on, all of that is excluded from zakah. Zakah on what remains with you in all your accounts. So the saving account, current account, any other account that you have, any investment that you have on stocks, shares, etc., any receivables that you might have, any trading items for selling that you have with you, any debt that you gave to other people and they have to give it to you back, you calculate all of that. This is your wealth. Then you give zakah on all of them. Allah Almighty knows best. Next question is from Sister Vivian Aisha. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Since Jum'ah prayer performs at masjid as a woman, is it not valid to pray at home since the masjid is far from my workplace? No, for a woman, it is permissible and valid to pray at home, and better actually, even if she is living exactly beside the masjid. Jum'ah is not required from a woman. She can pray at home, Dhuhr prayer, 4 rak'ah. So Friday, Jumu'ah prayer, you do not pray 2 rak'ah at home, you pray 4 rak'ah. That's it. This is normal, and in fact, this is more rewarding, so don't worry. You do not have to go to a masjid, especially if it is far away from your workplace. You do not need to leave your workplace at all. You can pray at your workplace, and that's it. But you pray 4 rak'ah. Allah Almighty knows best. Sister, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Jacqueline, no question here. Sister Medina, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What is the percentage of zakah? Zakah on money is 2.5% on every Hijri year. Every Hijri year. So if you cannot do it by the Hijri year for whatever reason, you must do it by the Gregorian year. It's not going to be 2.5. It's going to be 2.57 or 2.58. Okay, so 2.577 to be precise. Now, one more thing. The easiest way to calculate zakah is simply whatever amount you have with you, divide it by 40, by 40, and that's it. The result is the zakah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. All the other sisters, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khair, all sisters. Sister Farzana, can my husband pay zakah on my behalf, even if I have money to pay mine? It is permissible to pay zakah on your behalf with your permission. So zakah is due upon you. You must pay it yourself. But if you tell your husband or he tells you with your permission to pay it on your behalf, that is valid. So he cannot pay it and then tell you, I paid on your behalf. That doesn't work. Take permission from you. I'm going to pay your zakah. You tell him, okay, thank you very much. And he does it. And when he does that, you need to make it up to him. He's not paying for nothing, so he required to be a better wife, inshallah, and better in the house and with the kids. Say thank you to him a lot. Jazakumullah khair. Sister Iram, are we obliged to pay zakah even if we are in debt? That depends on the debt. So if somebody is on a debt that he must pay now, not on long terms or installments, and he does not have any cover for that debt, and he does not have extra amount with him, so there is no zakah required from that person. Okay? No zakah is required. But if the installments is like for 20 years or 10 years or more or less, and it's on an installment, what is required from him in this month is to pay 1,000 or 10,000 and so on, and he has that amount, he can pay it, and he still have extra with him to pay the zakah, he must pay the zakah. Allah Almighty knows best. What is the ruling on zakah on the money I am planning to spend? Also on the debt part, if you have a cover for that zakah, that debt, you have a debt, it is current now, you must pay it, but you have an extra house somewhere, or you have an extra property with you that can pay the debt. This is not real debt, you still have to pay the zakah. Okay? Allah Almighty knows best. Sister Sonia Tamam saying, what is the ruling on zakah on the money I'm planning to spend? For example, I have agreement to buy one land, but the money to be paid after 2 months. Okay. Every money that a person has is for something in the future. We're planning to do something with it. Everybody has plans. Future plan does not affect the zakah in any way. Future plan does not affect the zakah in any way. If you want to pay it before the zakah due date, you can pay it in advance. You don't have to pay zakah on it. But if you keep the money with you, you have to pay the zakah on that money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Is it better for a woman to pray Taraweeh at home? Yes. It is better for a woman to pray Taraweeh at home, provided she's going to recite some part from the Holy Quran and she's going to concentrate. But if she cannot concentrate at home, she's not going to recite, she's going to be lazy, not pray often, busy with the kids and so on, and she would like to pray at home because she will have more khushu', more concentration, yes, go in the masjid and pray. But in general, for every prayer, the prayer of a woman at her home is more rewarding and better. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Can we do volunteer fast with double intention, sunnah fast and missed fast? This is a very good question from Sister Farzana. We'll conclude with this inshallah. Now this is an important question, especially for our sisters, because sometimes they have many outstanding days and they would like to do the volunteer fast or the fasting of the special days of the year, but they have so many outstanding days, it's very difficult to combine them together. So can they intend to do both? Actually, yes, you can, but the intention should be to make up for the obligatory fast. Okay, for example, for the 6th of Sha'ban. So when you are fasting the 6th of Sha'ban, you pray one day of makeup for the month of Ramadan. At the same time, this is part of Sha'ban. You have already fasted in Sha'ban. Do the same. Or every Monday and Thursday. So you fast Monday with the intention of making up for Ramadan, but on Mondays. You fast on Thursdays to make up for the missed days in Ramadan on Thursdays, and so on. So you make up the intention for making up for Ramadan while choosing the days of fasting that are sunnah to fast. This is possible for most sunnah prayers, except for the days that are required to be fast in Islam by themselves. The days that are required to be fasted in Ramadan by themselves. Like, for example, Ashura. The day of Ashura is intended by itself. So you cannot say this is Ashura and at the same time this is going to be a day of Ramadan. That doesn't work. It has to be the day of Ashura or the day of Ramadan, but you did not fast Ashura. And the same for the day of Arafah, for example, because the day of Arafah is required by itself. But for every Monday or every Thursday or the 3 days of the month, in the middle of the month or others, there are no harm, inshallah, in fasting with this combination. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I think there is a last question from the sister. Yes, sister, you raised your hand. Go on, Sister Annalisa, I think. And there is another question. Yes, sister, go on. We have the fatwa service directly on our website, on our application, as well as on our WhatsApp number. The WhatsApp number is 800-3336. This is the WhatsApp number. You can also reach us for fatwa on the same number, as well as on 800-600. Directly call the fatwa line if you have any question in Arabic and in English. Okay? And the sister, yes, sister, are you going to ask? Go on, Sister Annalisa. You raise your hand. Okay. All right. I think probably she would like to write or call later. You can call on our fatwa line, inshallah. and we will answer you. Thank you very much for attending. Jazakumullah khair. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us reach Ramadan inshallah, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitate for us the fasting and the prayers and standing and the dua recitation of the Holy Quran. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to do more charity and be good for ourselves, our neighbor and society, and then for all for humanity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who are exempted in the month of Ramadan from all their sins and all their wrongdoings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who are exempted and protected from hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise our levels and status and grades in paradise, and make us the companions of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam in the final, the highest place in paradise and the highest place of al-firdaus al-a'la. Ameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Shukran. Jazakumullah khair.
Shukran, Ustad.
Shukran. Jazakumullah. Yes, Sister Annalisa, if you have a question, you can ask. You raise your hand, but okay. Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, I have another lecture now, so I have to leave. But inshallah, you can utilize the fatwa services. Assalamu alaikum. جزاك الله خير. شكرا جزيلا شيخ محمد. ما هذا الله يحفظك. بارك الله فيك.
جزاك الله خير شيخ.
بارك الله فيك.
خلصنا نسوي فاستنج فتوى